You doing, buddy? So, hey, everybody. Normally, this would be like a playthrough thing, but I decided to do I'm going to go ahead and see here. Let's do new. So, I'm playing a game while I'm going to be talking about my weekly update. This is Townscaper. It's available on Steam, and I found out about it about a few days ago or so. So, basically, this is just something where you pick the color you want, whatever. I'm going to pick some green, and you can build different things. You can zoom out, take a look at it, that sort of thing. And it's basically just a city building sim. So, and like if I want to build on top of the house, I can build it as tall as I'd like. I don't think there's a limit to this. I've never done that before. And then if you zoom in, what's really cool is there's all these neat details that pop up. And I'm not exactly sure how it's randomly generated, but it does a really beautiful job, and it adds little architectural factors on here like this. Now, the reason I'm playing this is just because sometimes, oh, that's so cute. Sometimes I just need some time to think and kind of be with my thoughts a little bit. And I think the bigger the city, the further out you can zoom out. So the reason I'm bringing a bit of gameplay into this is because I've had kind of a rough week, and today wasn't bad. I worked on a mural and got some stuff screwed up on it, so I need to go back and fix that. And that's all right. But it was at the Kansas City Humane Society, which was not the problem. That was fine. They had a lot of Great Danes come in, and they had a lot of cats come in, and that was, I'm glad they all got rescued. The Danes came from a very, very terrible hoarding circumstance, and that really broke my heart. One of them was a blind. She had no eyes. I think she lost them to infection. At least that's what I want to tell myself. So I'm a little bit more all right. But yeah. So, and it put me into a weird and sad zone. So I'm sharing this because of the fact that, at least for me, and I don't know about the rest of you guys, but this has been kind of a screwball year already. All the little birds here, where, I thought, I have some plans as to what I'd like to take care of and do and things. And you know how sometimes even the best laid plans can just completely be waylaid. And it feels that way for me right now. Oh, I love that you can zoom in on this. Like, that's just crazy cool. Let's see if I go real flat. Yeah. Oh, wow. That's so cool. A few years ago, something like this would never have been possible. But nonetheless, so, one of the things that I've been struggling with and hasn't been so great is, if you guys follow this channel, you know my cat Luna. I've talked about this in a few other videos, but she is very sick right now. And I've expanded upon this and some other things, so I'm not going to go into the details, but, that's never an easy thing to go through. I think about this quite a bit because there's a part of me that's like, what is going to happen, When you know that your animal is having some problems, and she's having quite a few of them, at least for me, I end up almost devoid of the ability to do anything. I have a graphic novel and some project ideas I should be working on, and I am incapable of doing that right now. It's not because I haven't tried. It's not because I don't think they're important. They certainly are. I just can't find it within myself because I keep thinking, she's on a steroid right now, and unfortunately, this is a steroid that can cause diabetes in a cat. But I think my vet was pretty open on the idea that, hey, there's something more wrong here. So if diabetes is the worst that happens, that's not, that's not a point of concern right now, which is horrific and sad to say at the same time. But I got to thinking about how much time I spend, with them. And right now she's asleep. she has a hell of a time eating and a hell of a time drinking. She is getting some stuff, and there's trying all the different kinds of food. She seems to like purees, and so but got a couple of different flavors, and those didn't really work for her, unfortunately. So that wasn't great, but trying to figure out well, what else can I do? And that's always a bit of a nerve-wracking thing, right? Because there's a part of me that's like, well, I'm doing everything I can, and if a cat doesn't want to eat, they're not going to eat. Some of it's probably, and to give you a little bit, okay, I will say this much. So the reason she's not eating is not because she's not hungry. She is. And there's the whole aspect of like, do you force feed the cat or what? And she's trying to eat some kibble right now, but her tongue and her jaw don't work very well at all. And it's, kind of horror show for me and for her, especially. I will love my cat no matter what, but it makes me very aware of the fact that, I may not have her that much longer. And it's going to sound very weird saying that, on here, because it makes it sound like I'm almost, what is the word I'm looking for? Like I'm almost separated, or I'm immune to what is happening, and nothing could be farther from the truth. I am very much heartbroken, and I'm very much thinking that, come Monday or even tomorrow, I may have to make some decisions I really had hoped I wouldn't have to make for a few weeks. But not that I don't want to dwell on her. I don't think anyone wants to see me upset on camera. I often think about, I try to remember this, and this is going to sound sort of weird, but I try to remember, and this is something that came about because of therapy, that I try to remember that there are good times in this world, that when they happen, you cling to them. And especially whenever you're witnessing, the aging of a family member, be it an animal or a human, we will try to find solace in that. I think I've told this story already many times, but I had spoken to a former instructor who I consider a friend now, and she was able to help me kind of get through some grieving from a mutual friend and colleague we had who passed away some years ago. And that was that's a beautiful bit of building there. It was a very hard thing for me, and it haunted me for years, just, I guess, accepting that I had to say goodbye to this person, because they had passed away and I hadn't seen them in some years. But it really messed me up as far as, what they meant to me and who they were and what part they played in my life. And it was something. I'm not gonna kid. I mean, it really was. It was one of those things where, you let enough time go by and stuff, and now she's sitting over there. She's unable to get any kibble in her mouth. And for those that are wondering, this is Luna, and the entire thing that my vet was saying was, as long as the steroids seem to work and she's capable of eating, not a problem. But this does look like a problem, and I'm hoping that maybe there'll be something that could be done. But the truth is that, I'm making this post this way because I remember when I did Icon, which was the Illustrators Convention here in town, came to Kansas City. Aside from meeting a few people that I really hit it off well with, I didn't really have a whole bunch that I gathered from it. I had some things that worked, but not a lot. And what happened is that during that time, there was one particular instructor that was invited to the show that had access to a zine that talked about death and dealing with it, and how it isn't a scary thing. And honestly, I'm never mind the circumstances right now, I've never really thought of it in that way. I've never really thought to myself, oh yeah, this is something horrific or something. I mean, I have and I haven't. I often find myself thinking, it is a natural part of life. And is it scary? Of course it is. Of course it is. But just like I'm building in this city, right? And I don't really seem to have an idea as to where I'm building or what I'm doing. It's all very random, and after a while it gets to be a little bit unwieldy and maybe even a little ugly at times or a little unusual. But it works out in the end, right? And things change the more that you add to it. So I'm kind of using this as a metaphor. I feel a little guilty. She's just sitting over there by herself. She was sitting over here, but I think she's just uncomfortable. But when I was noticed, and that came to mind when I was watching the rescue animals come in today at the Humane Society. And, of course I'm covered in sadness by that point, right? Because I don't want there to be any suffering in this world. I always tell myself that I would prefer that, which is something, and this isn't to get into a theological discussion, but it is something that makes me wonder, like, well, if there was a God, why do the things happen that do happen? And this is going to sound blasphemous. And I don't mean this in any which way, shape, or form, but I had a really fairly heated discussion with one individual about that. And I said, well, here's the thing. If faith is to be worth anything, why are there evils in this world? Why are there things that happen? And the mainstay argument is that, people do things because of free will. And whether that's going back to the biblical story of Adam and Eve and eating the forbidden fruit and all these other things, okay, I understand that. I get that. But it's still one of those things where, for me, it's very, very hard to process that when somebody, like, my cat or a child, is innocent in things that happen to them. Or maybe it's not even a child. Maybe it's just somebody who, didn't have a good grasp on what was going on around them. They got caught up in a bad circumstance or something, and then bad things happened to them. And then what are you left with? Why must they suffer because they were in the wrong place or they had nothing to do with what befell them? And I think that a lot of times too. Like my cat, I've had her for just around 15 years, and she's about 17, 18 years old. I got her as a stray, and I'm guessing, they were guessing whenever the vet saw her as to how old she was. And I remember thinking to myself, like back then, oh, this is gorgeous. What that meant in the long run, that, taking in a cat, taking in a dog, all of my animals have been rescued. There's that saying, I think it's from Lord of the Rings, if you never say hello, you'll never have to say goodbye. Now that could just be from the song, from the Ralph Bakshi version of Lord of the Rings, but it's still very true. If you never say hello, you won't have to say goodbye. And there are times whenever I think that to myself, like even when they were bringing in animals, I did interact with a few of them because they just need a kind hand. They need people to take care of them and look out for them after everything they've been through. And all I think to myself is another line that was from a comic book called ElfQuest. In that book, there's a character named Skywise who is talking about giving up his immortality as an elf. And the reason is because earlier he doesn't understand why, if it's his life, he can't give it up when he feels like he should be able to. And it was the very first time I ever asked myself, what is life then? What are we here for? And this turns into a massively much more spiritual thing. But I think the thing that gets me is that I still don't know what that means. I don't know that many of us, if any of us, do. I would love to think that life would be being here while my cat is sick. And it is. While my parents are aging. While I'm getting older. It's being present in my own life. It's being there and for the good and the bad. And not denying it and not walking away from it. And keeping it at the forefront of your thinking that, hey, this is what it is. Now, I say that right now because my cat is still alive and my parents, thankfully, are still both alive. And other people that I care about who are far older than me are still around. But everyone faces that at some point in time. And then that ends, for me, I end up reflecting on the things I do in life. Like right now, even though I'm I'm in an okay. I'm okay right now. I'm not in an okay mood, but I am okay right now. There is that whole factor of, what about tomorrow? What about the next day? What about next week? And it's not that this year is going bad. It is, but it's not going bad because something went wrong against me. It's just life. Whether we're talking about how the world is changing so radically, and I'm not talking about necessarily political things or religious things necessarily. I'm talking about just the motions of life. All of it. All of it, really. And how hard that is to... Oh. I put out some other food earlier, some moose cat food. Like like pate, but smoother. She seems to be eating it. The softer food she's capable of eating, so I'm glad for that. But it's one of those things where I find myself wondering all the time, like, let's just make a bunch of houses here. Ooh, that's beautiful. I like that. Beautiful little town. I feel like I'm on The Secret City with Commander Mark when he used to draw those things in the early 80s. Oh, I scared the birdies. I got to thinking about when I was younger and people that I knew. I think fondly of two older gentlemen that used to be co-workers and, dare I say, at least acquaintances, but I thought friends. Mr. Parker, who I never learned his first name. I just knew that he was in the Navy and that he and his wife had been married for a very, very long time. I think they were coming on 62 years when I met them. I mean, he was old. And I, for some reason, I keep thinking to myself, I'm like, is that really real? But they got married very young. I think she was 16 and he may have almost been 17, and they had been married ever since. They'd had a few kids and everything. And I remember one time having a conversation about what life meant to him and how, he related a beautiful story to me. His wife was wheelchair bound. And he said, she loved to dance. She was the reason he learned to dance. But when she lost the ability to do that, he made damn well sure that whenever they went to a dance, there were dances that he could, any dance that he could figure out how to dance with her in the wheelchair. And I thought, because she even told him, if you want to go to dances without me, I understand. And he would have nothing to do with that. That was love. That was amazing. And I think about, Bernie, the other guy that worked there with him. They became fast friends because they were similar in age. Bernie had lived here in Kansas City since Lee's Summit was a bunch of fields, which is a long damn time. And, I'm going to have to check on here in a second, so I'm going to have to let you guys go. But thank you for joining me on this. And the reason I brought that up with the two of them is because both of those men, who are long gone now, taught me that it is very much what we do in life. And I know that seems like a common sense thing. But whether it's my art or caring for my animals or being around my family and my friends, as often as I can be, because I'd love to say hello a few more times before I can't. Whether that's because they're gone or I'm gone. And because time does march on and we never really know what will happen. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and end this video. If you get a chance, check out this little building game. It's kind of relaxing. And I will catch you guys in my next journal entry. Thanks for following, and keep your fingers crossed for Luna. That maybe the steroids will work a little bit better and she'll regain some ability to be able to at least enjoy whatever time she has left. It means the world to me for all of you new people that are subscribing. And consider this, if you watch this, consider this kind of your welcome video, because I haven't made one for the channel yet. And I do a lot of different things on here. And thanks to a video that I saw featuring Rhett and Link, I'm going to start making more of the stuff that I really enjoy making on here. I don't really follow trends. I just kind of make videos based on stuff I like, however I can do it. So I am Mario the Artisan Rogue. Thank you for watching my vlog. And I will be back this next Monday with some updates. Maybe some good, maybe some bad. Who knows? Oh, I'll also end it on one other thing too. Rejection, as far as art shows and other things, can be kind of weird. But I got my first one this year, and it was for a project I was looking forward to, and so still looking for projects to fill up my time and things like that. Even though this mural's going to be done in the next day or so, I certainly got open opportunities there. But I have things that I've been wanting to work on. So maybe this is the universe's grand plan to say, hey, you're about to have a lot of free time, maybe even some grief you got to work through. So let's see where this goes. Anyway, I'm rambling again. Thank you so much, guys. I'll catch you, like I said, next week in the next journal entry. See you then.